Welcome back. You're watching Citizen Live at 1 and I am Terry Anchibet. Now, Meru County Governor Peter Munya has blamed the national government for allegedly failing to tackle the rising insecurity in the county. The governor decried the increase in the number of murders and robberies and called on the security agencies to tackle the problem head on. Abdurrahman Abdullahi now reports.
Residents of several parts of Meru County have in recent days protested about the increased insecurity in the area. Their governor, it now appears, is reading from the same script. Addressing the resident at Muringina town during a public baraza, Munya said the recent cases of insecurity where people have lost lives in the attacks by armed people must be dealt with. He has asked relevant security agencies to move so fast to deal with the insecurity problem.
Sisi tunaonelea ya kwamba kuna shinda kubwa ya security huko Meru town. Na tunasema lazima hatua ishukuliwe, lazima overhaul ifanyike ya security ya Meru town.
The governor added that crime in the region is so deeply rooted that the criminals operate in broad daylight.
Pale tumefika sasa, hatuwezi kuendelea. They cannot continue losing lives every day from criminals operating in town, in Meru town, some of them operating during the day, in broad daylight, carjacking people and killing people.
Munya assured the resident that his county administration will work with the national government towards achieving improved security in the region. Abdurrahman Abdullahi for Citizen TV.
Leaders from Laikipia County are now calling on the government to resolve the reported row with the British government over the deployment of British soldiers in Laikipia County. The leaders have warned that any further delay in processing papers for the troops who are to replace others leaving the county will be costly to the local economy of Laikipia County, saying that the move will cripple the economy.
It's 6,389 feet above sea level. North of the equator, Laikipia County is Nanyuki Town, a town which is a major tourist attraction globally, but which is now an epicenter of a row between the Kenyan and British governments. The story of Nanyuki is incomplete without mentioning that Nanyuki is also home to a training base for British soldiers, but that has been halted following a diplomatic row between Nairobi and London. Soldiers who are taking part in an infantry training exercise cannot leave Kenya, and the new batch who are to start their training cannot fly into Kenya after the Kenyan government withdrew diplomatic permits over a travel advisory issued by the British government asking its nationals to leave Kenya owing to the fragile security situation. Leaders and locals from Laikipia are now calling on the government to resolve the issue swiftly.
British Army Training Unit in Kenya, BATUK, contributes a lot to the economy of especially Nanyuki Town, Ndaiga Division, and all the areas surrounding here. We find that at any given time, we have about 3,000 youth who are employed.
We receive 10,000 British Army annually. And therefore, when you look at it, it translates to almost 1 billion Kenya shillings in terms of pumping into the economy.
Following the decision, the business community in Nanyuki are foreseeing a future of losses in an economy which depended in a big way on the presence of tourists and the British Army.
The British government should look into the matters of what we call travel advisory. Because once they also put travel advisory into Kenya, the economy of Kenya, the other Kenya also is affected, particularly at the coast. Even here, we have so many tourists who used to come, but now they are not coming. We have so many ranches here. There is Oljogi, there is Olpajeta, there is Lewa. There are so many ranches here, of which they are employing also Kenyans of so many different origin.
Sisi hutegemea wazungu wa British Army, na sasa Kenya venye inaendelea
Ikiwanyima ruhusa ya kukuja Kenya, tutakuwa tunakosa biashara na tunaona maisha yetu itakuwa ngumu sana.
Just when and whether the diplomatic row will be resolved remains a mystery. Judy Kosgei, Citizen at 1.
West Pokot Governor Simon Kachapin has accused the Controller of Budget, Agnes Odhiambo, of misleading Kenyans by issuing a report he claims does not represent the real picture of how counties spend their funds. Kachapin was reacting to a recent report that showed that many counties in the country failed to utilize funds properly, and many of them had returned funds to the Treasury. Hassan Farah now tells us more.
Speaking at Kerelwa Primary School during a fundraising event, the West Pokot Governor Simon Kachapin said the Office of the Controller of Budget has portrayed county governments negatively. He says the report painted counties as having no capacity to damage funds, and yet the report was prepared before the end of this financial year.
Ningependekeza kwamba hawa wakitoa ripoti yao watoe baada ya msimu wa fedha wa serikali ya kaunti na serikali kuu ikiisha.
The West Pokot Governor has called on state commissions that oversee devolution to conduct proper investigations before releasing their reports. Kachapin dismissed the recent report that showed that West Pokot County failed to use 450 million shillings allocated to it in the 2013-2014 financial year. The governor says the West Pokot County government even needs more funds to pay contractors.
The issue of giving a partisan report is very unfair. Kenyans want to know how the national government has also utilized its money.
The governor also defended his trip to Israel with a section of members of the county assembly this week to learn more about the irrigation project, terming it a big success since it was an eye-opener on the implementation of irrigation projects by the county government.
But the issue of saying the governor should not do this is not very important. It's not, to me, something that is important. And we go, for example, I've gone and learned a lot, and we shall be able to implement what we have learned from Israel, for example.
Hassan Farah, Citizen Live at 1.
The quest for quality education has now pushed parents and students of a village in Nyeri County to start free remedial classes. Now, through this initiative, students from all schools in Ishaga Shumi village congregate in one school and are taught by teachers free of charge. The program was started by a teacher, Ignatius Wahome, 6 years ago. Students congregate at Ishaga Shumi Nursery School for learning every day after 6 p.m.
Due to the challenges that are facing our young people in the communities and in our society, I saw there was need of converting this nursery into a running institution that are of higher running.
Mimi ni wa hapa, kwa hivyo nilijitolea kwa sababu nataka kuona watoto wetu, maana ni kama ndugu zangu, ni kama tumezaliwa mahali pamoja. Kwa hivyo ni lazima ningejitolea kuwasomesha, maana pale nimefika lazima nilisaidiwa na mtu mmoja, maana nilisoma hapa, nilisoma nasari hapa, pale nimefika lazima nilisaidiwa na wale walikuwa mbele yangu. Kwa hivyo pia mimi ningependa nirudishe mkono kwa wale ambao walinisaidia na mimi nisaidie wale ambao wako wadogo wangu.
Let's now have a look at news making headlines across the business scene, where President Uhuru Kenyatta is currently presiding over the launch of the Mombasa Port Community Charter in Mombasa County. Speaking ahead of the launch event, Transport Principal Secretary Ndova Muli said the charter would enhance the efficiency of operations at the port, but also increase Kenya's competitiveness in the region. Now, with the charter in place, Kenya is seeking to redeem the image of the Mombasa port, which has been reeling under the weight of inefficiency for quite some time now. According to the charter seen by Citizen TV, it should not take more than 1 day for a cargo container to be cleared from the port of Mombasa by the end of this year. Ndova also added that his ministry is in the process of drafting new rules which will control truck drivers from causing obstruction along the northern corridor.
The kind of behavior we're seeing where the heavy commercial vehicles are parking all over the place along the corridor, we are going to bring that to a stop. We are going to make that a matter of the past. We are going to make it very, very expensive for people to keep hanging around along the corridor, creating a security risk, some of them carrying flammable materials like fuel. We are not going to allow it.
But the cargo owners are also promising to play their part to ensure that they get their goods faster by ensuring, for instance, that they engage in pre-clearance before the goods arrive and not using the port as storage facility.
The Kenyan shilling has made modest gains against the US dollar at the start of trading today. According to the Central Bank of Kenya, commercial banks quoted the shilling at 87 shillings and 53 cents buying, 87 shillings and 72 selling to the dollar. The shilling has held steady to the euro to trade at 119 shillings and 40 cents buying, 119 shillings and 68 cents selling, while gaining 28 cents to sterling pound to trade at 149 shillings flat, buying 149 shillings and 39 cents selling. Regionally, the local unit held steady to both the Tanzanian and Ugandan shillings to trade at 18 shillings and 80 cents buying to the Tanzanian unit and at 29 shillings and 54 cents buying versus the Ugandan currency. Well, it looks all set on the other side for Viva Brazil in just a moment.